You're listening to the Life Coaching Secrets Podcast, episode 234. Did you know that life coaches are needed now more than ever? I'm Frank Macri, founder of Thriving Coach Academy. I've trained over 1,000 coaches and helped them launch their own successful coaching businesses. If you want to make an incredible income and impact as a coach and have a lot of fun doing it, I'll show you exactly how to get it done. This is Life Coaching Secrets. What's up, coaches? So I was going through some of the past episodes of the show and I realized there was one episode in particular that I knew still deserved a spotlight. It is one of the most impactful episodes that I think I've published on the show, and I do not want you to miss it. So I'm bringing it back for you to enjoy again. Enjoy. In this episode, I want to talk about how to live intentionally and why this is important, how to make sure that you are living intentionally and your clients are also living their lives intentionally. Because a lot of people will seek out life coaches and hire them because they want to show up with more intentionality in some part of their life. Living intentionally is about being clear about the life that you want to live, being clear about what you want to create, what you want to experience in your lifetime. There are many people who are living life on autopilot or on default, where they are doing what they think they're supposed to be doing, and they are not really considering what else is possible. And I believe that there comes a point in our lives where we are given a wake-up call. And if you're listening to this episode, then you've probably had at least one wake-up call in your life. And there's a lot that we can learn from these wake-up calls in our life. So when I was a teenager, I was living my life very much by default. I wasn't really thinking about my future or the purpose I wanted to express in my life. I was just going through the motions. And then one day I started to have some health difficulties and my parents couldn't figure out what was going on. So we sought out a doctor. They did some blood work and found out that I had an overactive thyroid. All of my thyroid levels were just through the roof. So this was very confusing. It was scary. It was overwhelming. And it created a lot of fear for me and for my family. So this began a period of time where I would be visiting doctors, all these different doctors' offices, getting all these different labs done, and also beginning various medications that I took to hopefully stabilize my thyroid levels. And the thyroid controls so much of your body. So I was worried about how this might impact my future. And I did have concerns that I wouldn't be able to live a normal, healthy, long life. So in this period of time when I went through getting my thyroid healed, it was about 2 years. And in that time of lots of anxiety, I realized that I began to live more deliberately. I began to look at my entire life differently. And I started to question, what is the life I want to live? How do I want to show up in my life? How do I want to live my life so that way, when my life does come to an end, I could feel peace. I could feel proud. I could feel accomplished and satisfied with my life. And this all happened when I was quite young. I was about 16 or so years old. And I am grateful for going through that experience with my thyroid because it's what created a turning point in my life and allowed me to consider my relationships and my careers and all the experiences in my life with a higher level of awareness. A lot of people have told me that they've been impressed at what I've been able to accomplish and do in my life, given my age. And I really appreciate hearing that. And I think it's a result of just choosing to live intentionally and living deliberately and not letting life just slip by, wishing or hoping that I could have done something and leaving my life with regrets. So the reason why I'm talking about this right now is I was on Instagram this morning. Usually I'll check my phone in the morning, and I heard about
an acquaintance of mine that I met years ago. And this is someone who was in their early or mid 30s, and he passed away from stage 4 colon cancer. And he was going through a battle with cancer for several years. And it seemed like things were getting better. And unfortunately, things took a turn for the worse. And I felt my stomach drop when I saw this online. And it was so heartbreaking to see that someone that I knew, someone around my age, someone who many would consider to be fairly young, had passed away from cancer. And it even made me think, wow, okay, what do I need to do in my life to make sure that I am living on purpose, that I am showing up intentionally, that I'm not letting a moment slip by and sinking into regret. And this is something I've talked about in episodes before, the importance of really deciding the life that you want to live and making sure that you are making decisions and taking actions that are allowing you to fulfill that and create that. Life is so precious, and I think sometimes we don't realize that and remember it until something tragic happens and we lose a loved one or something devastating happens in our life. And I want to make this episode as a wake up for many of you, whether you're a coach or whether you're working with clients, because it's one of the most important things you can ask yourself is, what do you most want? This is one of my favorite coaching questions. What do you really want? We live so much of our life doing what others want of us, doing what we think we should do, going after what we think we should want, but not really looking within and thinking, who are we really? Who are we being? Is that the person we want to be? Are we living the life that we want to live? So I want to share with you, this is a story I tell and share with all of our coaches in the academy. And it's a true story. It is the story of Bronnie Ware. Now, Bronnie Ware was a palliative care nurse, and she spent many, many years in her career sitting beside people as they were going through their last moments of life. And she would have conversations working with and caring for these patients. And she would talk with them. She'd have these conversations, and she started to document what they were sharing. She would record what epiphanies and breakthroughs her patients had as they lived their last days of life. And she noticed that there were themes, there were patterns in what people were sharing. And she compiled all of those patterns and created what is known as the 5 regrets of the dying. Now, I know that this all sounds very morbid, and it's something that sometimes we don't want to look at. We don't want to think about death. But death can be one of our greatest teachers. Death can allow us to choose how to live. It sounds kind of ironic that death is such a great informer and teacher on how to live our life. We are all going to die, and it's so important that we face our own death with an awareness and with curiosity. So that way you can choose to not live your life in a way where you're going to end up with regrets. So I want to share with you what the 5 regrets were that Bronnie discovered with her patients. And I want you to listen closely to these and notice where these regrets might be showing up for you, or where you might be currently getting stuck in some of these challenges that some of her patients face throughout their lives, and how you could start to turn that around, because all it takes is one decision. You are one decision away from living intentionally, from showing up in the way that you want to show up. All right, so here we go. Number 1, the most common regret that Bronnie discovered with her patients was the regret of wishing that you had the courage to live a life true to yourself, not the life that others expected you to live. So her patients would say, Bronnie, I wish that I had the courage to live a life true to myself, not a life that others expected of me. This was the most common regret. And so many of her patients realized as they were dying that they had so many dreams that were unfulfilled. They let those dreams slip away, or they pushed them to the side so that way they could live a life that others expected them to live. She even found that most people, they hadn't even honored half of the dreams they had for their life. And it was due to the choices that they made, or really the choices that they didn't make in their life, that caused these dreams to be unfulfilled. Now, so many clients that I've worked with, when they have their goals and dreams, it's very common for other people's opinions to be something they need coaching on. What are other people going to think of me if I decide to pursue this? What are other people going to judge about me? Now, you may have heard me talk about this story if you've watched our Coaching 101 training, which you can get free access for at our website, thrivingcoachacademy.com. You may have recalled that I talk about my decision to become a coach and how I was so afraid that other people would judge me. But I knew that if I didn't pursue this, I would be filled with regret. I knew that this was a calling. And a lot of people I've spoken to and our team has spoken to, when students enroll in the academy, they often say that coaching, this is what feels to be their calling in life. And they don't want any more of their life to slip away, feeling like they're not honoring their calling. Even if other people aren't on board with that calling yet, you are the only one who needs to be on board with your dreams. You don't need everyone else's permission and approval. You just need your permission and your approval. So when I was looking to become a coach, I was afraid that people would judge me. So I questioned if I should stay under the radar and maybe not start my own business, just take the quote safe route and through life, working for a company. And of course, when I examined that further, I realized that it's definitely not more safe and secure to work for another company. It's way more secure to be your own boss and have complete power over what you earn. But what I was worried mostly about was other people's judgments. And then one day I had an epiphany, and it was the epiphany that really changed everything for me. I realized that no matter what path I would take in my life, there were going to be judgments. People were going to judge no matter what. So I had the choice to decide what version of me I wanted people to judge. I could choose to let people judge the version of me that's playing small and holding back, or I can let them judge the version of me that's playing big, that's showing up to my life in the fullest possible way. And I knew that I would much rather have people judge that version of me. So I decided in that moment, I'm not going to let my fear of what other people think of me hold me back in my life. It is one of the worst feelings ever to go to sleep at night and think, wow, I let my fear win. I let my fear around other people's opinions hold me back from living the life that I most wanted to live. So think about that for yourself. What is a goal that is unfulfilled for you? And what is a judgment that you worry other people might have about you if you really pursued that goal? It might not even be a goal. It just might be a way of expressing yourself in your life, where you worry that if you express yourself in this way, people will have judgments about it. Now, every single person I've talked to, every single coach that I've trained, they have had some fear of what other people think of them. So you're normal if you have this happen. We are social creatures, we're tribal creatures. So it's normal to have that part of you that worries about what other people think. But it's not necessary to keep holding on to that fear. Okay? It's very important that you decide to live a life true to yourself so that way you don't end up with that regret. So what are you holding back on? What decision are you not making? What way are you not expressing yourself? And how could that change? Let people judge the fullest version of who you are. You want people to judge that version of you. And you might as well let them, because they're going to judge no matter what. So that's the biggest regret of the dying. The second one is, I wish that I hadn't worked so hard. Ronnie especially noticed this was a regret among most of her male patients. They wish they hadn't worked so hard. I feel like they missed out on some of their children's youth and time with their loved ones. So this was the second most common regret that she found. People that were just running on this treadmill, so to speak, of just climbing up the ladder and just going through this existence where they are just living for a paycheck. And a lot of people regretted that they had really worked so hard. And that's one of the other reasons I'm so grateful for coaching as a career, because the scalability in this industry it's incredible. When I started out as a coach, I had worked really hard and I filled up my practice working with so many one-on-one clients. And then one day I decided I was going to start coaching groups instead of coaching individuals. So I was able to work less, but actually earn more and help more people. So I was making a bigger impact and making more money and having more time. So working hard is an interesting, I have a whole podcast where I talk about hard work and how it's really not necessary for you to work hard in order to have an amazing life. It's one of the most common rules that people have, the rule that you need to work hard to be successful. What if you didn't, right? What if you could work smarter, like that expression, work smarter, not harder? What is the life you want to live? And then how could you work to create that life? So you're not just working hard, but you're actually working smarter. You're working to create a life that gives you more freedom. So that is the second regret of the dying. People wish they hadn't worked so hard. The second regret is I wish that I had the courage to express my feelings. I feel like this goes very closely to the first regret. So it just shows you how powerful that is for people. Again, it's I wish I had the courage to express my feelings. So a lot of people, she found, would hold back their true feelings just to not rock the boat, to keep the peace. So they just settle. They settle for a life that's mediocre or fine, instead of a life that's amazing, instead of a life where they're truly seeing what they're capable of. And what's interesting is she also found that a lot of people developed illnesses because of the bitterness and the resentment that they held on to. And I very much believe that our mindset, our emotions definitely impact our physical body. And there's been a lot of research done on that, how the mind affects the body. And Bronnie also found this as well. A lot of people had developed sicknesses because they had held so much in. So what are you holding in right now? What are you holding in? What part of you are you holding in from expressing? What would it take for you to express your true feelings, for you to express yourself in the fullest possible way? Now, again, I know that the fear is, well, other people might judge me or other people might leave you. Well, maybe it's time for some of those people to leave you, right? It's like when the snake sheds its skin so that way it could have its new skin, right? This is something we go through as humans. We evolve. If you're not growing, you're dying, right? We must continually look for ways to grow. And part of growth, it's one of the painful parts of growth. Sometimes people are unwilling to accept the evolved version of who we are. And those are people that are not a good fit in your life, right? So rather than give your energy to people that want to keep you small, start focusing on people and communities and mentors that encourage you to play big, that show up in the fullest possible way. If someone is threatened by your growth and your evolution, then that is their business, not yours. It is your duty to honor yourself and continue to grow in your life and express yourself so you can show up in the fullest possible way. When you have friendships, mentorships, and communities that honor you for not just who you are, but the person you're going to become, those are the people you want to keep around and support. Okay? So let's go to the next regret. So the next regret, number 4, is I wish I had stayed in touch with my friends. I wish I had stayed in touch with my friends. And Bronnie found that a lot of people had let some of their friendships go. They got caught up in their own lives, and some of their friendships just slipped away, and they regretted not giving some more time and effort to the friendships that they know deserved that. So a lot of people missed out on their friends when they were dying. So this could be an opportunity for you to think about who are the people in your life that you want to reconnect with? Who are the people that you want to invite back into your life? Who's someone that you want to catch up with that you haven't in a while? Right? We can get so caught up in just going through the motions that you might miss out on some of those amazing golden friendships that you used to have. And let me tell you, there's part of being in the academy, we have a continuing education course on positive psychology that students can optionally enroll in as well. And there is one of the homework assignments in that course is where you reach out to someone that you haven't spoken to in a while and you write a letter to them. And if possible, you go visit them and you spend time with them. And we've had students do that exercise and say that it's been so transformational, so moving. Sometimes the people they visit, the friends they reconnect with, are moved to tears because they are so grateful and happy to be reconnecting with this person they hadn't connected with in some time. So we all strive for and desire connection. It's a human need in all of us. So who is someone that you can reach out to this holiday season and connect with again? So the fifth most common regret that she found was, I wish that I had let myself be happier. I wish I let myself be happier. So many people didn't realize that their happiness is a choice that they can choose to make. So a lot of people stayed stuck. They didn't know how to be happy. This upsets me so much because it's not that it's their fault. It's just that people aren't taught how emotions work. In the academy, one of the fundamental things that we teach is that your thoughts create your emotions. So if you are feeling any way, you just need, and you want to change it, you need to identify what are the thoughts, what are the rules, what are the expectations that are causing you to feel the way you're feeling, and how could you rewrite that? How could you rewrite those rules so that way you can feel happy, so that you can feel better in your life? A lot of people also go for fine. And I call it the 4-letter F word to look out for in coaching with your clients. You want to look out for the 4-letter F word, and that word is fine, F-I-N-E. When you ask someone how they're doing in their life and they say, oh, I'm fine, things are fine, work's fine, kids are fine, spouse is fine, everything's just fine. When someone says fine, you know that they're not really happy, right? Their things are just okay, or they're tolerating what they're going through. One of the fundamental beliefs I have is that life is not for tolerating. So what in life are you tolerating right now? Whether it be relationships or people, circumstances in your life, all of the energy that you are putting into tolerating your current circumstances, you could be putting that energy into creating the life you actually want. So all the energy put into tolerating is energy that can be put into creating the magnificent, the wonderful, the amazing, the fantastic. And in order to get to great, in order to get to amazing and magnificent and fantastic, you have to let go of good. You have to let go of fine and so and okay. So what are you currently tolerating? Maybe it's your career, your home environment, some relationships in your life. And instead of tolerating, when you get honest with yourself, what do you really want? What do you really want? So this episode, again, is about living intentionally. So I want to leave you with the questions that I started this episode with. So that way, as you're closing out this year and heading into the new year, you can make decisions right now on how could you show up next year even more intentional. You're devoting your energy to things that are really creating the life you want, focusing on the relationships you want, and letting go of the relationships that don't serve you, the opportunities that don't serve you, the work that doesn't serve you. So what do you most want? What are you really wanting to create? What do you want to experience? Life is way too short for you to worry about other people's opinions of you. So let people judge you, because people are going to judge no matter what, and go create an intentional life. All right, that's what I got for this episode. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you in the next one. Hey, would you like access to powerful coaching tools you can use on yourself and clients right away? For being a listener of the podcast, I'm giving you a VIP guest pass to get a sneak peek into my coach training program. Inside, you'll learn our coaches' secret tool they use to transform their clients' lives. And you'll also get a training on how to launch a coaching business. Just head over to www.thrivingcoachacademy.com/VIP to get started. I'll see you on the inside.